I will play them here on Rock of Ages, here on Cambridge 105 Radio, where, as I said before that track, I've been joined by a couple of great players. I think they're great players because I've seen them play live. They are
thank you very much.
Lee and Ranjan. And good evening again to Rock of Ages.
Good evening to you.
Good evening.
And one of you's never been here before, but two of you haven't.
Oh, no, we've never been here before. No,
You've never been here before. Welcome along to the wonderful studios
it's
of Cambridge
boutique,
105.
but it's very comfy.
Yes.
It's small and compact and, as you
warm.
said, comfortable. So I caught you playing at it was a benefit gig, wasn't it, for
Yes.
Winter Comfort?
Yes.
It was in aid of...
Yeah, the Speak Out.
It was in aid, the Speak Out Festival, that was the one. That wasn't your first gig, I can tell you that without asking.
We've done a few.
So, how long have the Lightwaves been Lightwaves?
Well, we've been around for a while, but we've been Lightwaves for, let's say, a couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and one of you was in a band? At least
Oh,
one of
we've
you.
We've both been in
Various
various bands,
things,
yeah.
What
We knew each other
bands
from-
were you in?
I was in a fairly well-known Cambridge act called Split Whiskers for a while. I played bass for them for about 3 years, and a couple of other bands that toured around Cambridge in the Fens. One called TNT, that sort of different names, kind of a cabaret band.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've done bass, guitar, now ukulele, obviously.
right,
Yeah.
okay. Did you learn to play that? Is that ukulele learnable to somebody that already plays the guitar, or is it so
yeah,
difficult?
It's pretty natural progression, actually, because
Right.
the finger shapes are the same. It's just a bit higher up.
Right, so what made you go from guitar to ukulele?
A lot of reasons, I guess laziness. You know,
Yep.
there's fewer strings to play at one time. Novelty value. It seems kind of effortlessly comedic and entertaining, the ukulele.
These days he only plays instruments with 4 strings.
Yeah,
He plays bass
exactly.
as well. But, yeah.
Ranjan's obviously expert.
I went the other
mode,
way. I've got
yeah.
12 strings on this.
You missed out portability.
Exactly, yeah. Portability as well. Good for
And
busking.
Ranjan, where have you played? Who have you
So-
played with?
In fact, I'm a very confused individual because I've played lots of different kinds of music
Right.
all over Cambridge. Lee and I met on the blues jams, actually, at
Oh.
the Haymakers back in the day when
Oh,
it was
right,
there.
yeah.
And I've played in that, a lot of the jams. I've played in ensembles, like a covers band called Halfway There that was, we used to play at Mabel's and that kind of thing at the university. I've played in originals bands. I do play of Indian classical music as well, so bits,
Right.
quite very confused, like I said.
Did you study together? Because I know you said you've studied, haven't you? Got PhDs. I mean,
Yeah, we do. Yeah, a bit overeducated.
In fact, that's the story of how we formed. Is I was a postdoc at the Institute of Astronomy up on Madingley Road, and they have an open day every year. And the last year I was there, we were asked. I actually said, "Can we play some music?" And I thought, "Hang on, what would be great is to have just some acoustic stuff." And so I gave Lee a call, and we thought, "Let's have a go at playing some of these songs." And that's when the Lightwaves sort of impromptu start was really.
Yeah, we had a bash and thought, this works quite well, actually. Let's carry it on and do a few gigs.
You make your own. You've got your own take on all these different tracks. Was that a kind of let's make sure we don't sound just like the track, or?
Definitely. I think we want to capture the bits of the song that make people remember what it is, but then try and do it in our own way as well. The arrangement is quite creative and fun, I think. What do you think, Randy?
Yeah, I think, the instruments are unusual, right? 12-string guitar and a uke, and we thought that isn't actually a limitation at all, because, you've got 12 strings on this, and you've got that wonderful kind of, happy, lovely sound from a uke that you can... Lee will show you what you can do with that, really, I think.
Okay. I've heard little bits. I should have put the microphone up when we had the Water Boys, because you did. You replicated the guitar solo in that quite well. I thought we could have saved that for posterity. But anyway, you're gonna play some songs for us. You've also decided there are 3 or 4 songs that you've been influenced by or you particularly like, the first of which we're going to play, and it's going to be the Beatles and Here Comes the Sun. I presume that's just goes back to, well, you must have heard it as children.
Oh,
I
yeah,
suppose.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the songs we play are just sort of things we heard on the radio when we were kids, basically.
Mostly songs from before we were born as well, which we just grew up listening to. So.
Okay, well, we'll play Here Comes the Sun, not the sort of band that are ever going to be overlooked by anybody listening to new music at any age. Here they are. The Fab 4 there from Abbey Road, which was released in September 1969, and the original version of Here Comes the Sun, as requested by my guests, who are the duo that are Lightwaves, or is it Lightwaves or the Lightwaves? Or doesn't it matter?
We've got a the.
I think there is a the. Yeah.
There's a the.
There's
Okay.
a the in our Facebook page
Yes.
URL.
Right.
As well.
So you've got this. How many songs have you got up your sleeve? A lot, I know. But
Quite a few.
We could do 2 hours in a bit.
2 hours.
Quite a few. We're kind of having to pick songs to do for each gig. We've got more
Right.
sets.
Okay. When you go to a gig, do they sort of they're going to allocate you, aren't they? Say 40 minutes, 45.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you sort of work it out up front and say, right, these are our best 45s.
Yeah, well, we'll generally speaking, we'll have 2 45-minute sets or that kind of thing, and we'll sort of distribute the songs between those two. Sometimes shake them up a bit, change them out between gigs.
Yeah, just playing the same songs in a different order, or playing them when you're fresh at the start, or when you're warmed up at the end, can make a big difference.
And we always add new ones to the list too, because we like a challenge.
Okay, that's all good. The guys are going to tune up and play, and they're going to spend their next 2 or 3 minutes tuning up while I play something else. There's a wonderful little free CD with the current edition of Mojo magazine, which has got 15 essential tracks from this year, and I'm going to play one of them now. This is going to be Elvis Costello from his recent album, which was called Look Now, and a song called Stripping Paper. Well, it's still writing some good ones. Elvis Costello from his most recent album Look Now, and a track called Stripping Paper, and it's included, as I said, from the Mojo freebie this month. 15 essential tracks from this particular year. Very handy, these little freebies, because they always contain a few artists that I've never heard of, and I can sort of audition them at home, and if they're good, they come onto this show, which is very handy for me. My guests are very handy. One of them's handy with a 12-string guitar, which from this distance, when your eyes are not what they used to be, only looks like 6. And the other one's got a ukulele, which is small enough for somebody short-sighted not to see it at all, but I can. Okay, they've tuned up. They're going to play one of their songs, and hopefully it will sound loud and clear out there in Radioland. It's going to be their version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, which was a Tears for Fears classic hit from 25 years ago or more. Okay, you can take it away, guys.
Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep, we will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world. It's my own design, it's my own remorse. Help me to decide, help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where the light won't find you, holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. When they do, I'll be right behind you. So glad we've almost made it. So sad they had to fade it. Everybody wants to rule the world. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. all for freedom and for pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Wonderful rendition of a good old pop song. Well done, guys.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to work that one out?
Oh, well, not too long. Yeah, we usually jam them out and we get vaguely there, but then it just a lot of time just working on the little details, saying, oh, I'll play this and you play that bit and we'll share that riff.
It's about getting all the little riffs and solos and all that kind of thing so that people recognise it, and that's what takes a bit of time. You know?
Okay, we're going to come back with more very soon indeed. One of the things that I've been featuring on recent editions of Rock of Ages are the anniversary issues of certain albums which have now got to the ripe old age of 50. There's another one due any minute now. It's the Moody Blues and their album In Search of the Lost Cause. In Search of the Lost Chord. Oh, wonderful slip that. This is a track from it called Dr. Livingston, I presume. It's a bit of an instant 60s fade out there. The Moody Blues and a track from In Search of the Lost Chord. That was also a B-side of a single that I used to have. Dr. Livingston, I presume, was the track. I'm presuming, I might be wrong about this, that the original single was Voices in the Sky. But I could be wrong. If you want to look that up and tell us, you can. In fact, you can contact the station. It's not outrageous to contact a radio station. The text is 07919 070 and the email studio@cambridge105.co.uk. So I'll give the text out again, 07919 070 490. You can say anything you want, and I can assure you we won't hear you, but we won't see you either, but I'm not going to tell you why. My guests are sort of they're going to tune up and play more because they're so good at it, but we're going to talk David Bowie because I know he's one of your or you're one of, no, which way round is it? He's one of your heroes.
Absolutely.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to listening to all this music, as you said earlier, that you've sort of heard it, even though it comes from a different era. I mean, where did you hear it? Was it your dad's record collection?
Certainly a bit, yeah.
Yeah, both my parents' record collections were full of this stuff, and
right.
I got to Bowie a bit later, I think, in my teens, but I don't know about you, Lee.
I think my mum had a crush on David Bowie.
Did she?
When she was younger. She's going to be listening to this, so...
Okay.
Hi, Mum.
Well, yeah, hi, Mum.
Secret's out.
Yeah, okay. Do you both come from this? I know you don't. Where do you come from originally? Because obviously,
Surrey, technically, but
yes.
But I was born in Surrey, but my parents are originally from India. So.
Right. Okay. And when did you come to Cambridge to study? Did you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So
right.
I came to Cambridge in 2000 to do my undergrad, and then stayed.
Right. Where did you take it?
Where did I take the undergraduate? Oh, Fitzwilliam College.
Did you?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
And actually, I found out later he was at Churchill, so we were actually...
we were living sort of 200 yards from each other.
It's Cambridge, the university, not Anglia.
We were at Cambridge.
Yeah.
Where did you come from then?
I came from Hertfordshire, so not too far.
Right, okay. That's brilliant. How was Cambridge? I mean, what was it like to be an undergraduate at Cambridge University?
I've got to say, for me, I was nervous about coming to Cambridge because I had come from a state school background and I wasn't, your stereotypical Cambridge person. But I found that in the sort of friend circle that I found in the college, it was a really welcoming atmosphere, and it wasn't, quite all it's made out to be on TV. It's better than that. It's more welcoming.
Yeah, and I think I had a similar experience. I chose Fitzwilliam because I was a bit scared of the kind of old buildings and pomp and ceremony of the bigger colleges, and I actually had a great time. I loved it there. Because
when you come to Cambridge, I mean, probably it's the same for nearly everybody. You're perhaps the only person from your particular school that's come to that university anyway, yeah.
I think there was perhaps one other from my school that year, but often there's none.
Yeah.
So you have to make new friends very quickly.
Yeah.
And,
well, you're all in the same boat and you soon learn how to row. Put it that way. That's a very good Cambridge phrase. I'll remember that. OK, we're going to talk Bowie now because we're both... well, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan. I still dig out his stuff and play it. And you play a couple of tracks. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play you a Bowie track with a slight difference because occasionally Bowie would... he would nod to his own kind of heroes and sing their songs. He brought out an album of covers around about 1973 called Pin-Ups. But later in his career, he did a cover of a very famous Beach Boys song, which rarely seems to get played or have anything said about it. I'm going to play it. It's obvious what it is. I think this is a great version of this particular song. Well, you can surprise your guests with your music just as they can me with theirs. God only knows by the David Bowie. I nearly said by the Beach Boys, and you were a bit surprised to hear it come out like that.
That was, quite amazing to hear David Bowie doing a cover like that.
Yeah.
Different, but I definitely him.
Oh, it was definitely Bowie. I thought it was great, and that album, from memory, was kind of slightly slagged off, put it that way. During the 80s, 1984, that came out. And you just don't hear it, you see. I thought you might not be familiar with it. Anyway, you've picked off...
Show, even the greats are not above a good cover.
No, oh no, they're not, no. But things get overlooked. I think it's what you might call the Rock of Ages, sort of, as it has happened. We're sort of talking modern music. If you say it kicked in with Elvis, you're saying 60 years plus for what you might call modern rock and pop. So it's easy for even the well-known to have a few things that are overlooked over the years. Anyway, you've picked on Bowie from earlier, or earlier in his career.
We can't say this one's overlooked. It's fairly well known.
Okay, which one is it?
This Life on Mars.
Oh, carry on.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair that her mummy is yelling no and her daddy has told her to go, but her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked on the silver screen. But the film is a saddening bore, for she's lived it 10 times or more. She can spit in the eyes of fools as I ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the lawman beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if he'll ever know he's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars? Oh. It's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow, and now the workers have struck for fame, 'cause Lennon's on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes, from Ibiza to the Norfolk Broads. Rule Britannia is out of bounds to my mother, my dog and clowns. But the film is a saddening bore, 'cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be writ again as I ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, Look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the lawman beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if he'll ever know. He's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars?
Wonderful version of a wonderful song. I said that once before about a Bowie cover that was done on my show, but it was true both times. My guests, the Lightwaves, and their version of Life on Mars, which, when I think about it, there's a lot of piano that you're compensating or playing a different instrument for on that track. So
that's what we love about this band, is that we get to do that, you know.
Filling in the gaps, you know, trying to make it sound like a synth, trying to make it sound like
an orchestra.
Piano, strings.
You make the ukulele look easy to play, but it can't be.
Oh, anyone can have a go. I think that's the great thing about the ukulele, is it's not hard to get started.
When you were at Cambridge University, I've always known the odd person that's been at Cambridge University over the years, and I sort of, they're very memorable people. I can tell you that one of them is a household name. I'm not going to say who he is on here because it's kind of a digression. But was there a lot of music around? Did you play music at university?
Tons, yeah.
Oh, yeah, loads. There's loads of student music going on.
Yeah.
But actually, I spent just as much time out in the blues scene in the town with people who are not uni people.
And that's how we got to meet, because actually, early on, I was also doing a lot of college music and stuff from within the university. But then, I think when I started my PhD, I thought, well, I've done that already. I'd like to do something different, and loved the blues. And then that's when Lee and I met on the jam scene.
These PhDs, what were they in exactly?
So
sciencey things.
We're both physicists, but I was an astronomer or an astrophysicist, and actually our first gig for the astronomy department, we did space-themed songs. So that's hence the Lightwaves and all that kind of thing.
My field was not quite so glamorous. I was in the materials science department, which used to be in the new museum site in the middle of town, and I was making little samples of oxide in there.
Right. Okay, so you didn't meet in a lab, but you did play around town.
Met in a pub.
Met in a pub. That's the place. Many great things begin in a pub in Cambridge.
Right, there was always, in the early years of the band competition, there were always a few student bands that used to enter that as well.
No, I've done the Cambridge band competition once, but again, it wasn't with a student band per se. It was
Cambridge
with
band.
Some friends I met,
Okay.
Yeah, it was with a dear friend, Demi James, who sadly passed this year.
Oh, yes, very
so
sad.
I played with him in a band called the Filth Tones.
Okay.
If anybody remembers them.
We're going to come back. When we come back after the next track, which I've selected from my wonderful range of It's Been 50 Years and There's a Deluxe Edition Reissue series, which is going to be Jimi Hendrix and a track from Electric Ladyland. When we come back, I'm going to play one of your choices, and you can tell me why you've chosen it. Anyway, first, this is Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix, kind of in relaxed, jazzy mood on Electric Ladyland. That comes from the original album, which is celebrating 50 years by coming out again in various formats with lots of bonuses. I won't go through them tonight because I've got two guests, but check it out. And if you want more than just the original album, now's the time to obtain it. Okay, back to the Lightwaves. My guests from Cambridge now, but not originally from Cambridge, and they've both got PhDs. You see, I'm sort of, all I've got is CDs.
CDs.
So where were we? I know, we were going to play another one of your requests. Now, these two chaps, they wanted to hear one or two songs. I said, bring anything you like in, and we'll play it, but it needs to be on CD. and they sent me a list of the ones that they hadn't actually got on CD.
No,
if you haven't got them,
Apologies, yeah.
where have you heard the next track, which will be by a band called the Crash Test Dummies, who had one big hit around about 1994, and this was actually the follow-up to it, the song we're going to play, which will be called Afternoons and Coffee Spoons, and probably not mean that much to that many, but you obviously heard it.
Well, I hope I get to introduce a few people to the Crash Test Dummies. This is a band that really influenced me. I was listening to them a lot when I was growing up. I just sort of got into them somehow. I think I downloaded one of their songs off the internet and just realised that they were amazing, really. And there's that big hit, obviously. I think it's called
That's the
12
one.
M's. That's the name. But there's a lot of other stuff they did. They moved around a lot of different styles in different albums, and I thought their production was always excellent.
Yep.
And the sort of songwriting is a bit weird. The way they change key is quite distinctive. So from a musician's point of view, I like them. And finally, the lyrical content, I think, is very bittersweet sometimes and has a very unique perspective on life.
Okay.
Finding this song, Afternoons and Coffee Spoons, I think it's about finding happiness in daily life, even when you're old and unwell.
Right.
So
okay, I've got vague memories of a video that went with it at the time because I did pick up on it. It didn't get in the charts here. It might have done in America. They weren't around for too long. Maybe one album, maybe two.
I've 8.
You've got 8.
And they're around. They've reformed and they're touring again,
dear.
but only in Canada, sadly. So.
There's a tip I ought to have taken about doing this. Is if you want to know how many albums somebody has issued, or how many gigs they've played, or how many years they've been together, you should ask them instead of saying, have you been around for 3 years, or whatever. Anyway, okay, here's the Crash Test Dummies. Afternoons and Coffee Spoons by the Crash Test Dummies, which I I tested and crashed when I had the right song in the first place, which was very silly of me. Please forgive me, these things happen when you're doing a radio show. My guests, the Lightwaves, are big fans of that song, and they're going to actually, you can tell us about the next track, which you're going to play, but not the next track that I play, if you see what I mean. It's going to be Queen. You must love Queen.
Yeah,
we all do.
They're great.
Yeah.
Do you know I saw them?
Oh, really?
I saw the
Wow.
last gig that Freddie played, which was Nebworth, because it was after that he was ill and passed away. So, it was like watching a big band in a massive field.
Wow.
Which is
That's more or less what
do
it was.
you like
yeah.
these big gigs? I've said it on here before that if you go to a massive arena gig or a big gig in a field, you do feel a bit like you're standing in a big field.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit anonymous, isn't it? And it's hard to get brilliant sound when you're playing to 60,000 people. But
Or more. It was about double that.
Yeah, I
at
can
the time.
imagine.
Okay, we're going to come back with Queen. Now, I'm going to play either one or two tracks from the next 50th anniversary, which happens to be Jethro Tull and their album This Was, which was their first album. What I have here is an earlier edition of the anniversary issue, because what they're doing now, they're bringing out the 50th anniversary issues, but some of them came out when the things were only about 40 or even 30. I've got a 2008, which means it was 40 at the time, and what they did with the album at that point, they gave you a mono version, a stereo version, and some bonus tracks. And one of the bonus tracks on the first reissue, I hope you're still with me with this, is the first Jethro Tull single, which actually came out in 1968, and they accidentally put the name Jethro Tull on the as a credit of the band's name as opposed to Jethro Tull. Anyway, this is what the song sounded like. Well, it's good to hear that again, because it's possible that I've never heard it before, even though I own this wonderful CD called This Was, the 40th anniversary by Jethro Tull, from which the bonus track that I played was their first single. And my guests, who are, of course, current players, were actually picking off some of the influences of that song on that band. I mean, Beatles, we thought, the Monkees.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're all in there somewhere. Okay, Queen. and Killer Queen, is it?
Yes,
Oh.
right. Killer Queen.
You're able to play Killer Queen
Wait till we play it.
We try.
without having 4 voices each. Okay,
Yeah.
well, have a go then.
She keeps them always shunned down in a pretty cabinet. Let them eat cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette.
Building a remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. Anytime an invitation you can decline.
Caviar and cigarettes, well versed in etiquette, extraordinarily nice. She's a killer
Queen, gunpowder, gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind.
Anytime, recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try? To avoid complications, she never keeps the same address. In conversation, she talks just like a baroness.
Little man from China went down to Asia Minor, but then again, incidentally,
She's
be
a
that
killer
way inclined.
queen. Perfume came naturally from Paris, leisurely, cause she couldn't care less. Fastidious and precise, she's a killer
Queen, gunpowder, gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind.
anytime. Drop of a hat, she's as willing as playful as a pussycat. Momentarily out of action, temporarily out of gas. She'll absolutely drive you wild.
Whoa, she's out to get you. She's a killer queen, gunpowder, gelatine, dynamite with a laser beam, guaranteed to blow your mind.
Anytime, recommended at the price, insatiable and appetite. Wanna try?
Wanna try?
Wonderful version again. There is a reason for me pausing at the end of these tracks, but I ain't going to tell you what it is. My guests, the Lightwaves, and their version of Killer Queen. What do you listen to when you're at home, you guys?
Whew, Cambridge 105.
Yeah, all the
Day and
time.
all night.
Best answer I've ever had.
A bit of everything, really.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
sorts. Yeah.
You don't always go back and listen to the old stuff. I mean, do you know? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to play. I'm going to play Gaz Coombs in a minute. Are you up with that type of thing?
From Supergrass. Yeah.
He was in Supergrass.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Now he's on his own. We're going to play him. You sort of go for modern music or just.
I'll mix and match. When I've sort of reacquainted myself with my CD collection lately because I've got a car with a CD player in, so
Right.
driving into work I listen to some good stuff and some
Right.
local bands. I always buy local band CDs when I go to their gigs.
That's good. There's some nice sound bites coming from these guys here on Cambridge 105 Radio. I should say that here on Cambridge 105 Radio there is an incredible range of people and music and lots of other stuff. So if you've just tuned in to hear the Lightwaves, although I don't blame you, I won't blame you if you stay tuned to everything else on a continual basis. We sort of, I recommend sort of 24/7.
Yeah, yeah.
More or less, yeah.
You know,
Drip feed.
Prescription, yeah.
just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Gaz Coombs. I'm going to play a track from his 2018 album. This is again from the Mojo selection that they've given away this month. The track's called Oxygen Mask, and it's from an album called Strongest Man. Gaz Coombs on his own and sounding as though he perhaps doesn't need the band anymore. It's something when somebody leaves a band and actually sounds brilliant on their own, and I think he does there. Oxygen Mask from an album called Strongest Man, and of course he was with the band Supergrass, but that's his album from 2018. You're listening to Rock of Ages here on Cambridge 105 Radio with myself, Paul Christoforou. The programme crops up fortnightly from 8 to 10 on a Saturday. And I generally have guests. Very rarely do I have playing guests, but tonight's an exception and a very good one. The Lightwaves have come and chosen some of their favourites and played some of their favourites. And one on their hit list was Joan Armatrading, Love and Affection, which is a fair bit different to just about everything else we've heard tonight. Who chose that? What's the? It's a great song, but you know. Yeah,
this is one that I chose, and I think the first time I heard it was probably so my dad used to drive me to school and have Radio 2 or I can't remember which channel on, Magic 105 as it was in the day, and this would often be on there, and I just was always just stunned by the fact that it had such a different perspective to the idea of what a song was, or even just the emotional content of it. I mean, in that first line, I'm not in love, but I'm open to persuasion, is just like, it's looking from the outside, you know, it's a bit different. And I always related to that aspect of not just doing, you know, a standard pop song, I love you, you love me, whatever. And there's just this tremendous sense of coming at it from a different perspective, from an outside perspective, and as musically as well. Obviously, Joan Armatrading was a fantastic 12-string guitar player, which influenced my taking up the instrument as well. And what she does in this is just amazing, and the harmonies and it's just the story just continues to unfold and blossom in this wonderful way that just made me love the track.
Okay, I'll second all that and press play. Still sounds wonderful after all these years. Joan Armatrading and Love and Affection. And unfortunately, because I played that off a compilation and I didn't bring the sleeve in, I ain't going to be able to tell you which year, but I know it was quite a long time ago. Probably late 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
My guests are sort of... They're trying to work it out as I was. But anyway, regardless of that, my guests are going to tune up and play some reggae in a few minutes' time. There's nothing they can't do, these guys, you know. Just give a guy a guitar and a ukulele and they're off. Okay, now back to my 50th anniversary issues. And as I was saying sort of weeks and weeks ago, the White Album is coming. And, of course, it is now with us. And amongst the various formats that one can now purchase, there is, I think it's a 7-disc set, which comprises of, 7 discs is the first guess. But there are one of the bonus, there's a couple of CDs of bonus tracks which come from the sessions from the White Album. They are like outtakes and incomplete versions and different versions and ones that have still got to be embellished with various instruments, etc. And there was a song that was originally from the White Album era called Not Guilty, which
song.
Never actually made it to the White Album, was eventually put out on one of those 3 anthology double CD sets. It was called Not Guilty. I'm going to play it, and this is take 102. What about that? There we are, take 102 of the track Not Guilty, which eventually appeared on the reissue of the White Album, although it had been out before on the anthology series. And my guests, who are sort of... They know a bit about music, these two. One of them reminded me that there was a George Harrison version of that very same song on one of his solo albums, which came out probably around 79. Absolutely true. My guests, the Lightwaves, I've mentioned them earlier. They've been here for the best part of the 1.5 hours that has elapsed since we kicked in.
Every moment has been a pleasure.
That's what I like to hear.
He's good at these.
Sound bites unlimited. available from all good radio stations. You can go around the country, can't
available
you?
in complimentary and sarcastic editions.
Yes, yeah, whichever. There's a thin line between the two. Okay, guys, here's your next 3 minutes of fame and your version of a Bob Marley cover, a Bob Marley classic, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something completely different. Yeah.
Okay, just go for it at your convenience.
Treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together with a roof right over our heads. We'll share the shelter of my single bed. We'll share the same room. Won't you provide the bread? Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Whoa. I wanna know now. I've got to know now. I'm willing and able. So I throw my cards on your table. I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you right. Love and treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night. We'll be together with a roof right over our heads. We'll share the shelter of my single bed. We'll share the same room. Would you provide the bread? Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Table. I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you right. Love and treat you right. I wanna love you every day and every night.
Well, there's nothing that you can't learn when you come to Cambridge University, and my guests have just played a version of a Bob Marley classic called Is This Love? Now, I have to tell you something about that track that has puzzled me for years, that you've actually cleared something up. I could never understand that line that went, we'll be together with a roof rack over our head. But of course it isn't that, is it? It's something. Is it a roof right
over our
I think that's what it is anyway.
Okay.
I gotta say, we approximate sometimes the lyrics.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
we
a lot
spent
of
the hour before we came on arguing about one of the lines in David Bowie, whether it was
grammatically
cause
correct
or for or but or that, and listening to the records.
Okay, but it's too late to sue now, you know. He's gone.
No.
Okay, or vice versa, of course, or is it vice versa? Whichever. I'm going to play a track from this year. I'm going to play a track which I first heard on Later with Jules Holland, and thought,
I love that show.
That sounds good.
Who doesn't love that show?
To me,
for both
it's
of
good.
us.
Have you been watching it for years and years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Since
because
the 90s.
It surprised me that is it 25? I mean, that's ludicrous, and you feel that it's sort of recent.
I know, it was when I was in my first originals band, a band called Airplay back in Kingston upon Thames. We were all glued to that show, and always.
Yeah, got introduced to many great acts through Jules. So thank you, Jules.
Okay, when I see him, I'll tell him. You know, we're the same age. I'm like Jules without a piano.
Wow.
Yeah, he's about 2 or 3 weeks.
You're both 33?
Yeah, no, we're the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have been 33, 27 years ago I was. But, okay, I'm going to play this track that, as I was saying before I was accompanied by my guests. I saw this band on Jules Holland. They're called Boy Azooga, and this track is called Face Behind Her Cigarette. I knew it ended suddenly and I wasn't going to be caught out. Face Behind Her Cigarette from Boy Azooga, as seen on Jules Holland's programme, which my guests have been saying that they love to watch, and now they want to plug a gig. What can't you do?
Well, we go out occasionally.
I'll tell you, we'll do these bits now because I'm likely to forget.
Brilliant.
If people want to contact the Lightwaves, what do they do?
Well, I'd suggest that they get onto our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Lightwaves UK.
Yep.
And it's, you have to get all the bits in, otherwise it won't find you, sadly.
You'll find some other inferior.
Yeah,
Right.
inferior Lightwaves. There's some competitors, but we're the original and best. And, you'll see all of our upcoming gigs and any other things that we do, like radio appearances.
Yeah.
And next one, we play around Cambridge quite a lot, but also out in the countryside.
Right. Where was your last gig?
Our last gig. Oh, jeez.
Plough in Shepreth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And where, more importantly, is your
The
next one?
Well, it's one of the great Cambridge music venues at the moment, a little boutique pub called the Six Bells.
Oh, yes.
And we saw
Not too far from
Eileen
here.
just today, actually, the landlady from the Six Bells.
Actually, we shouted at her from the car saying, hey, we're on our way to the radio station. I think we gave her a bit of a fright, so sorry, Eileen.
Oh, right.
Sorry, Eileen.
Okay. So when are you there?
We'll be there on the 12th of January.
Oh,
go
that's
to
a
our
long
Facebook
time
page.
away.
And we'll hope to have some ones more soon, but we haven't got them confirmed yet.
I'll tell you a little story relating to that date in a minute. I'm going to play a track that you had on your original request list, but decided you didn't want to hear that badly. But as I dug it out, I'm going to play it, and it's T-Rex and the Misty Coast of Albany.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Well, yes, originally Tyrannosaurus.
And gets past him.
Yeah, no, you're right. In the early days, they were called Tyrannosaurus Rex. They changed the name around 1970, but there they were from a track, from an album called Unicorn, which came out in 1969, and a song that I wasn't particularly familiar with until I went back to it, called The Misty Coast of Albany, but my guests have been listening to Tyrannosaurus Rex. Well, that must have been your parents'
Actually,
collection.
no, in my case it wasn't. I just discovered them probably from Top of the Pops 2 back in the day.
Okay.
and then that was the electric stuff, and then I went back and learned about this.
Here's a question I often ask my guests. CD or record?
Ooh,
I do love a record.
Yeah, I used to have a record player when I was a kid, and it was my own, when I was 8 or 9, and I got all these old records that were, thrown out by relatives. So I think I appreciate the ritual of putting on a vinyl.
Right.
And I had, my parents still have a fantastic record player, which still seems to work like it's new, and everything sounds as wonderful as it did ages ago. So
okay, so you can pick up on, you can get everything that you want to hear now at the click of a mouse.
Yeah.
And then if you like it, you can dig out more Not easily. I mean, records are expensive, aren't they now?
They are. They're kind of like
ridiculous
deluxe, aren't they? They're almost like they used to be the cheaper option before, and now they're more expensive.
I can't say how much I appreciated the invention of the CD.
Yeah.
To me, it did exactly what I would have wanted it to do.
Yeah.
It brought the same thing out again without wearing.
Yes.
And I think they sound better, and I've got thousands of them. But there we are. Personal taste, these things, although I can't really understand how the younger generation are sort of enjoying their music, because I don't think they buy the best equipment to listen to anything on anyway, because we're more portable than we used to be.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you hear people in the train listening to things directly out of a smartphone speaker, and
Yeah.
it's just not great.
It's not going to be too good listening like that. You can be listening on a big stereo at home. I'd like to think you are. However you're listening, thanks for listening. We're going to run out of time very soon. This has been an edition of Rock of Ages with myself, Paul Christoforou, and my guests, the Lightwaves. Paul Simon put out an album of some of his old songs redone. I've only ever played one track from it from memory, so here's another. Paul Simon, didn't want to interrupt him just in case he hadn't finished. That version from a 2018 album called In the Blue Light, which is a dozen or so songs that he'd already done again, and that one I particularly like, Can't Run But, which was originally on, from memory, The Rhythm of the Saints. Correct me if I'm wrong. My guests are going to play one more time before it's time to say goodnight, and they've chosen a very aptly titled song called Don't Dream It's Over. So I suppose you may as well just take it away, guys.
Freedom within, there is freedom without, trying to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you'll never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know they won't win. Now I'm towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. And the paper today tells of war and of waste, but you turn right over to the TV page. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know they won't win. I'm walking again to the beat of our drum, and I'm counting the steps to the door of your heart. Many shadows ahead, barely clearing the roof. Get to know the feeling of liberation and relief. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. You know they won't win. Don't let them win. Hey now, hey now. Don't let them win. Hey now, hey now. Don't let them win. Yeah. Hey now, hey yeah. Hey now, hey now. Don't dream it's over. Hey now, hey now. Don't dream it's over. Hey now, hey now. Don't dream. Oh.
Don't dream it's over, but it very nearly is. Thanks to the Lightwaves for
Thank
their
you.
version of that Crowded House song. This is the first time they've ever played a gig without being able to see their audience. But there could be more. There
Actually,
could
that's
be
not
more.
the first time I've done it. I did a YouTube Indian classical concert
Did you?
in July, yeah.
Right. How many people have watched it since? Because you can look at that, can't you?
I think 939.
You see? There we are. Well,
There you go.
what can you say? That's
I haven't watched it yet, so it'll be 940 in an hour or so.
soon,
at
right?
least.
Yeah, I'll perhaps have to look this up
Do
myself.
look it up.
Okay, thanks to you guys for coming in. You can sign off and say goodbye and make out you've enjoyed yourselves.
We
Thanks for
certainly
all
have.
otherwise.
Yeah, we've had a great time, and we hope you have as well listening. So
Yeah, and what
Yes.
a great selection of tunes. We're going to listen back to it properly
Okay.
so we can hear them all
sure.
ourselves.
It's
yeah.
been an
Yeah.
education.
Okay, the final tune tonight will be coming from Jeff Rotel. I did say I might be able to play another track from their This Was album, which is now 50 years old. I can't play it all because we're going to run out of time. But anyway, from that album, I will be finishing with their version of Cat Squirrel. Many thanks for listening to Rock of Ages here on Cambridge 105 Radio. My thanks again to the Lightwaves for coming in. Please stay tuned to everything that is Cambridge 105 Radio, and I'll be back in a fortnight. Good night.